Welcome back to Minus 16, the tech podcast where we also talk about the business of YouTube. And as you'll notice,
we're together.
We were kind of together last time-ish, because you were here with Daniel last time.
I was here with Daniel.
And I was on your TV. I was the missing brother.
Yes, you were over there.
Yeah. And actually, I suppose we could reveal about our plans for the podcast. We're going to have a third wheel, aren't we?
We are going to have a third wheel from all the way from down under.
Yeah, it's going to make our schedules of when we record it, because it's about 10 hours in front of us. So I think we're going to be recording daytime a lot. But anyway, yes, Daniel is going to be joining us as a regular member on the podcasting club. And it works for so many reasons, because, of course, you're Samsung and Apple. He's purely Samsung. I'm purely Apple.
I just watch his videos before the podcast anyway to get my knowledge. So it'd be nice to have him there who actually knows what he's talking about.
And we've also got this really lovely little group chat going on Telegram now. And I don't know about you, but it's really supportive.
Yeah.
Because the three of us watch one another's videos, make suggestions, talk, banter, and it just really works. It's lovely to have that sort of close-knit community.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, three people that care about one another's content and what you're doing. And
yeah, at every stage, even from I had like 100 subs, right? It was nice to have a group of some sort to be able to, ask questions, but also support each other, right? And
exactly that, yeah.
I don't recommend doing because some people go to like Reddit and do like click for click or whatever, or sub for sub. Don't do that. But definitely find, like-minded.
A couple of people you gel like, and obviously we both had the
same niche, and
exactly,
because you're going to go through
and
the same.
We got good feedback on the last podcast. I think part of that is, Daniel we both had the privilege of meeting Daniel now. Sit down. He's a great guy.
Yes. Sometimes. Just kidding.
And we just kind of fit in really well with our views on things, and it just makes for interesting content. That we're all coming from slightly different angles, but the fact that we can feed back about different aspects of what the Samsung tablets can do, I think it's a good vibe. So yeah, it's great that Daniel's going to be part of it regularly.
Yeah, and hopefully people watching and listening will appreciate that, different aspects of experiences. I mean, he used to work for Samsung, so there's a lot of experience there, and a lot of knowledge. He still has insights that I wouldn't have, and we wouldn't have it.
So, there's quite a lot to go through. I suppose we could start. We've got more iPads than Apple around us at the moment.
Yes.
And we've got to talk about WWDC. We're recording this just a few days before it happens.
Yes. When is it?
Monday. This coming Monday.
Oh my gosh, already.
Yeah.
I'm so late.
So I'm not doing anything. I've decided I'm not going to rush. I'll do a short same day or that evening, because I think it's going to be a long event. When you look what they've got to get through, we could be talking 2.5 hours. It's going to be a long watch, I reckon.
Yeah.
No hardware, apparently. It's all going to just be software. But of course, this is the big AI reveal this time around, what Apple are planning to do. Now, a lot of what's coming, of course, is already going to be on Samsung device, I'd imagine. The photo editing, for instance, the AI photo editing. How much do you use that on your Samsungs?
I use it quite a bit, actually, for removing objects and things like that. Yeah, it's nice to do it with the pen. I was reviewing a phone recently without the S Pen. And whilst it's doable, it's not as accurate. So it's, you make mistakes and whatever. It's still fine. But I think, it's having kind of the S Pen does help. I do think that, the whole Galaxy AI thing has some features that are useful, but a lot of it is a gimmick, right?
I said this a few months ago, and it seems now the voice is beginning to settle down, and everyone's realising for all we're being given, what we actually end up using on a daily basis is tiny.
Yeah, and let's not forget, I don't usually defend Apple, right? But when you look at, and I did this for my iPhone 15 Pro Max reviews or follow-up reviews, but when you see the focusing, when you're filming objects that are moving or multiple people that are moving, and you try to use the cinematic mode, or there's another mode that you can track things, it's incredible, right? And that's, even though they don't shout about it, it's artificial intelligence or machine learning or whatever. There's a lot of computational power in there. So I'm, in a way, excited that they're finally bringing something to the iPhone that will maybe make the iPhone a bit more useful. But I'm also kind of thinking, this is going to be stuff that we've seen already with other brands.
I'm wondering how they're going to make it theirs and make it just that they've got to Applefy it. They've got to do something
unique. Some cool animations, and I'm sure there'll be some cool things you can do with photos and video.
I would imagine the Photos app has got to be the. I mean, I was writing about it this morning, so I've got some notes open of what we're talking about. The big thing is going to be that the home screen now, that you can edit your apps, so you can have your apps where you want.
Is that really happening?
Well, that's what the Mac Rumors have written about it. Mark Gurman's written about it, so I think it's a reasonable shoo-in that that's coming. And apparently,
he's got a few things wrong recently.
He has got some things wrong, but the fact that Mac Rumors have followed up on it as well makes it sound like I think it's reasonably locked in.
I wonder if there's someone at Apple just feeding them wrong information.
I've had that like for ages.
Troll, right? It's like, just give it to Mark.
Apparently, recoloring apps as well. So if you want to say your financial apps in red and your social apps in green or something, you're going to pick out accent colours from your wallpaper or themes. I think they're introducing themes, and the control centre is going to be editable now, so you can move. I don't know how important that is.
I'm trying to think. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
So I mean, and they apparently have got emojis that are going to be live AI generated emojis, which. Nah, not for me. Bit too old for emojis.
Exactly. Yeah, we've done memojis and stuff. Yeah, it's not. Doesn't rock my boat anymore.
The big one that I was always wondering about, because AI obviously depends on a lot of input and data scraping and so on, and I wondered how they're going to face it with the privacy that Apple very much trade on. And it seems
I was going to say,
that they're having their own server centers. They're running Mac Minis as servers, so anything that's not done on device gets sent to Apple encrypted, so even they can't see it. So the answers that you're pinging off to the cloud going purely. So if they are going to use AI, open AI, then it seems that it's not going to be branded as them. It's going to be very much using their LLM, but going to Apple's own service.
Yeah, which a lot of people are doing, right? The branding ChatGPT as their own. So in what I do outside of YouTube is one of the things we're working on right now is building that capability inside. So it's still ChatGPT, but it's closed. It's behind firewalls, and So it's using that tech, but branded as an internal thing. So maybe that's what they're doing. And to be honest, it's fine, right? But I don't know. Would you fully trust them as much, because it's another cog in the wheel, right? It's not really fully Apple.
No, I mean, I would imagine they're doing this until they've got their own LLM up to speed. Why they've been caught napping so much, I just can't believe Apple have made a mistake. They're the biggest tech giant around. They knew what was coming downstream. Something doesn't fit together for me. Unless they just wanted to wait a little bit, which they are famous for doing, like foldables, for instance. They could just be sitting back letting all the early mistakes get made by others. And they come in more like the glory boys. I know that doesn't. The Maps app comes to mind. They don't always get it right, but it could be that's Apple's approach on it.
There's a lot of you're right. Their strategy hasn't always been let's be first, right? It's let's be the best. Whether like Siri is not the best.
No, well, obviously that's supposed to be getting a massive makeover, because that's got to be the beating heart of what's coming on. It's supposed to be much more chat generated now, so you can talk to it. It's meant to be able to complete emails for you or generate email responses. I think also from a search point of view in Safari, you should be able to talk more in a narrative way to Safari.
I think that's the thing with Apple. My expectation as an Apple user of many years, or since before smartphones, is they always have that nice user interaction. So the challenge with ChatGPT, and I know the version 4.0 which I've got, it's a lot easier to use.
Is it?
It's you press a button and you talk to it, and he answers back like a normal person. So I do wonder how Apple will start breaking that barrier, and I hope that they do, to make it more accessible.
Would there ever be anything that would be enough to bring you back from a Samsung Galaxy to an iPhone?
Yeah, I'm always open, and I always try the iPhone, because I mean, it would be nice not to have multiple things, but I think at the moment, there's more offered in the Android, not just the Samsung, but Android in general, that for what I do makes more sense. I think Apple, never say never, but I think there's just too limiting. So even running multiple things, right? Not everyone cares about it, but I do use it a lot, like multiple apps.
Do you
on the screen
personalize and customize your home screen much on your Galaxy?
Yeah, but not really. It's not something. It's not why.
Not a big driver for you.
Yeah, it's not a big driver. I used to go full use a Nova, which is Nova launch. It's like a launcher, which basically is a skin on top of the OS. So it's not one UI in Samsung's case. You have this whole new launcher, which is fully. You can customize the shape of the icons, the colors, whatever. You can really go to town on it. I used to do that, but now because One UI is now so capable of doing that as well. It's like, okay, you don't need a launcher really. There's obviously Good Lock, which even adds more things, animations and whatever. So there's a lot in the ecosystem without you having to go third party on it.
The other, it seems obviously the integration with Siri is what's coming, because iOS 18 is clearly going to be what gets most stage time on Monday because it affects the most Apple users. And of course, the old thing is it will only be available on 15 Pros and newer.
Of course.
Which, I'm not that I'm here to defend them, but I kind of get why, because these are the only phones that are going to have the newer engine, I guess. It's going to be powerful enough to work on all of it.
But I've had that issue with, I think Samsung was one of them as well. At the start, this features only came to the current range, and is now been, I think if you got S23 Ultra or Fold 4, I think you do get the Galaxy AI features, if I'm not mistaken.
So what is the Samsung range is, you got the Fold, the Flip, the S24 and the S24 Ultra. Is that right? That's it.
And the Plus.
And the Plus. Where does that fit into the range in? The Plus comes underneath the Ultra?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So obviously in the S24.
S24 regular is like an iPhone SE sort of equivalent. But they also have the even lower sort of for more budget-like phones, like the A series, A55. I think.
Oh God, yeah, I've heard of those. Yeah.
Yeah, they're really good phones, and probably the ones that, when you look at the the units sold, those are the ones that sell the most.
We'll just finish.
I think we need Daniel here.
We'll have him soon, won't we? So we'll just talk a bit more about WWDC, and then I know you've been talking a bit about some of the camera weaknesses that you found recently on the Samsungs that you've been running as well, because you went to a Samsung event this week.
Yeah, that was a display thing, which is great. We can talk about it now. Yeah, that was fantastic. It was my first ever event, probably second event that I went to, but definitely the first big
in
Samsung.
London. Yeah.
In London, they've got this thing called the Samsung KX. I don't know what this stands for, but it's a big old building. It's basically a showroom.
So their brand center kind of thing.
They've got like a full home in there, like with all their new TVs. Basically, I feel like I've never been to CES in person. That's what I thought I was accessing. Everywhere you look, it's just gear everywhere and awesome stuff. Yeah.
We'll come back to that in just a minute. It's on my notes. One thing that caught my eye today, coming to iPadOS 18, apparently is eye tracking.
Eye tracking for
so the way that it is in Vision Pro.
Oh, instead of
Now that's a rumor.
To select stuff in.
Yes, I'm assuming tabs on Safari or something, or if you've got your apps open, you can decide to close them.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
that could be good. Have you noticed how Vision Pro has died a death? Is anybody talking about it? I was writing this morning. I thought I can't remember the last time anybody mentioned it, let alone made a video on it. And it's still not launched in the UK.
No, it's almost. I find it's similar to when Dyson released those headphones that cover your mouth.
Yeah,
it's almost like that. It's a piece that they wanted to release as a hey guys, here we're innovating, we're bringing something completely new, which I really appreciate. I think it's I've been waiting for years, so I think it's a good start, and I'm glad someone did it because now hopefully others will start
opens up the market
doing the same. But it's not there, right? It's not ready for consumer. I mean, it'll be great when you get smaller and lighter, and the battery doesn't have to walk around with you like with cables and stuff.
It seems it's just it's only for some reason as I was writing this morning, I thought I can't remember when anybody last talked about it. It's this massive wave, and then
it was literally 2 weeks later. It wasn't even that. There was a lot of creators that I know of that were considering buying one, and I don't know. There might be another peak in interest when they release in Europe.
Yeah, I think it's coming in July to the UK, Australia, Canada, I think.
Yeah.
But
I've been offered one. A brand bought two and said, do you want to come and do a thing with us, and we'll let you have it for a few days. And I thought of it, but it's like, I'll do it because I'm curious about the tech. It's not going to do anything as a YouTube thing, as a piece of content, because it's like everyone knows what it does.
Well, the UK creators that I saw made videos about it really didn't get, they certainly wouldn't have got their money back on the videos, certainly unless they were sponsored, but certainly just on clicks. It just didn't generate the interest, did it?
Yeah, but I think it's a good PR exercise anyway.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
For you to be amongst the people reviewing something that's that new. I think I wish I had one when you launched, but I wouldn't. Yeah, everyone I speak to that has one is like, it's collecting dust now because we've seen Avatar in 3D. Okay, next.
And apparently it's not getting any big updates this time around. There's a few of the they're not called settings, but you know the backgrounds that you can go into, the virtuals. Some of those are getting updated. There's going to be odd tweaks to it, but it doesn't appear, from what everyone's saying, that there's much new coming.
Yeah, I mean, I watch a lot of stand-up comedians and stuff, and one of the guys I follow has bought one, and he was saying in a podcast that he is messing up with his brain because he's using it so much that he's kind of changing how he sees everything. So when he's not using it, he's seeing things weird. It's like, okay, well, maybe should use less of it then. But yeah, I'm still curious about it.
Oh, the minute it gets launched, I'm going to go to London and book my 30-minute demo.
Right, you can do that, right?
Yeah, that's what yeah. So your Apple Store in Bath, you'll be able to book a 30-minute demo.
I'd come to London for the big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Bath is nice. But it's a small Apple Store.
Maybe we can hook up in London and do it then, because I'd be obviously hands-on. It'd be fascinating to see what it's actually all about, how much it does.
I'll turn
immersive.
up with my Android hat and a Samsung shirt.
Yeah, I'll disown you at that point in time. It's nothing to do with me. Vision OS is supposed to be getting live speech, which they're putting down as an accessibility feature, but basically, so if we were talking over a video call, we'd get text come up on screen. So if you're visually impaired or whatever, you can actually. Well, that doesn't work. No, I guess hearing.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll scrub that. Visually impaired wouldn't be very good for a video call.
Right.
Even less good for text. Yeah, so if
it's all
if
good
you've got,
stuff, but
how much will you actually use? I don't know.
Yeah. Is it worth paying $4,000 for that?
And sort of the last thing really to talk about is the watch. Apparently, they're going to try and pitch the watch against the Rabbit R1 and the Humane AI. So it's going to bring ChatGPT to the watch, so it can do much more on-the-go activities for you. I mean, Siri's got to come a long way if they're expecting Siri to do all of this.
Yeah, I have to say, it took me a long time, and I'm talking probably a good part of a year, like 9 months, to get used to not having. I mean, you can see it just off. It's not in the shot here, just over there, literally collecting dust. My Apple Watch Ultra, but I do miss having. Yeah, just take it. But I do miss having that because the Garmin is an awesome watch for sports.
That's a big chunky thing.
Yeah, this is.
Sorry, I don't really look.
This is like an athlete.
It's big, isn't it?
Thing, yeah. I'll put a B-roll on that. But yeah, basically, you can't do anything. You can't call anybody. You can't activate your lights. You can't talk to it. Right? It's an awesome watch for certain things, but it's not really a smart watch. It's more of a fitness tracking. But so I do miss that ability. And again, if it rekindles my interest, the challenge I will have is I won't have an iPhone for a long time until the new one comes out. I'm doing a final long-term review on the iPhone. That one there.
Yep.
And then it's going to my wife. It's decided. I don't use it, but it's nice to have it at home because we still use a lot of the home automation stuff. So at least I won't lose that, and she can control stuff.
Yeah. Leading on, I suppose, from that will be iPads.
I'm so impressed with the Pro. And you've got some story to tell, right?
Yeah.
Based on our previous conversation.
Yeah, so I thought, like you, working in a studio, bright lights, and you'll understand the pain of shooting B-roll and reflections, I thought the nanotexture, and I bet my money on, I thought Apple surely wouldn't kill the quality of the panel with putting nanotexture on. Now, right off the bat, everything I've said, it's not bad. It is for a very, very few users, though. Since I've had it taken off and I swapped it, I did the 14-day exchange, and that was. Have you ever done that in store?
No, I've done it online.
Oh man, it's so easy. I walked into Battersea. I bought it online, so I didn't buy it from Battersea. I just walked into the store, spent a bit of time just comparing mine against the other. Like, definitely want to change. They didn't even ask for proof of purchase. I guess they'd looked at it. I don't know.
Yeah, I saw you mentioned on your video.
One was called out from the back. It was there 45 minutes later. Set up from this iPad. Done. It's such an easy way of exchanging.
I don't have a single bad word to say about customer service when it comes to Apple. Yeah, they are insanely good.
Yeah, it was. The whole experience there that day swapping could not have been easy. But yes, now I've taken the nano texture off. It's stunning. Absolutely stunning. I mean, I'm using it as much as I hardly ever reach for the MacBook Air now. And I love that Mac.
It's that good, isn't it? Yeah,
this keyboard,
I love typing on it. I mean, it's one of those things, like it's what everyone has been saying in every single video. It's still an iPad, but they have improved the experience of using it.
Yeah,
just with the keyboard. I mean, I know it's another 300. Is it 350?
350, yeah.
It's a lot of money, right?
But it's almost worth it, isn't it? It really is almost worth it.
It's always been. It was the reason I changed my iPad. I think originally from the original iPad Pro, I had the 2015 one. I had insurance replace it because it broke, but I kept that model for ages. The 2018 model came out. I was like, but it was only when I started to see the Magic Keyboard, I was like, yeah, okay, the next one I'll get it. And I got it in 2021.
Well, of course, you and I had many conversations with me asking you, why is everyone moaning about iPadOS so much? And I came to it very fresh. I wasn't sure, but it didn't take me long to actually not miss macOS. Obviously, macOS is going to have its place for certain tasks. It's always going to have its place.
Yeah.
And it's my DNA. It's what I'll go back to. But this, I am loving using. This is my general computer for during the day now. Admin, accounts.
I don't know. I have tried for videos and to kind of see, like, can I really? Because I watch some videos and the guys go, that's my computer now. Like, can I try and do it? Sure, it's possible, but it's almost like a luxury thing, right? For a couple of hours a day, if you're like, outside of your home or whatever, at a cafe, it's so nice to be able to do it, or on a plane or on a train. But I don't know if I could work on it. I mean, this morning I used it for a conference call.
Yeah.
Initially, first problem was the camera quality. It's not as good as the one on the MacBook for some reason. The lighting isn't right, and you just look awful.
I did a comparison. The video went up yesterday between the front-facing cameras on this, the MacBook Air, because I did a comparison between this and the MacBook Air.
Yeah, how is that then?
The camera was I also did the iPhone. The iPhone front-facing was the best. The audio on the MacBook Air, my God, it is so much better. They've got noise cancelling on the MacBook Air, and it really tells. It sounds. I mean, it was in my studio, so it was reasonably good conditions.
Yeah.
It was quite an interesting experiment to try out, but the mic on the MacBook Air was better.
Yeah.
Camera in all three, I wasn't particularly impressed. It was under decent studio lighting, and it just looked not as good as I was hoping.
I was seeing everyone nice and sharp, which is weird, right? Because usually I'm the one that looks good, because I use my studio for conference calls.
Yeah.
But this time it was like I was the one on a potato, because I was using, and that's the brand new iPad. So I just felt a little bit disappointed there that I was expecting more.
Yeah.
And I checked that it wasn't the screen that had smudges or whatever, because sometimes that can happen.
Of course, yeah. Because they're releasing the new version of Final Cut Pro 2 for iPad, which I've dabbled with. I will end up, I think I might as well buy it as opposed to paying for monthly, but I'm waiting really for the Final Cut camera app to come out on the phone. I'm going to give someone else a steal it out now, but one of my videos is going to be making a complete video, thumbnail and all, on the iPad, using nothing but iPad. That's going to be, so I'm going to shoot it on iPhone.
Definitely doable, yeah, definitely doable.
Because it's Photoshop and now, I've got Lightroom on there. In theory, it's going to be slower. I'll type all my notes on there, of course.
Yeah, it's a completely new experience. I did that, well, not for an entire video, but I did try Final Cut Pro when it first came out, and you're using the dial and whatever to edit. And it's nice. It's a nice experience, but you're not going to be as fast as you are on a Mac.
Well, I've only recently switched over to Final Cut. Sadly, my 90-day trial's up. But that's 3 months I've been using it. It's up next week, so that's another 300 quid I got.
Apparently, you can just blast it and redo it again.
Really?
For another, I've heard. Yeah.
I might as well, for the business, I might as well invest in it. I'm going to use it now.
Honestly, that's what I thought. I did it for a couple of times. I thought, you know what? It's a good 15 minutes that you go reinstalling it. It's time, right?
Exactly. It's a one-off purchase, and it's kind of like part of.
And it does pay for itself, to be honest.
So, and it'd be interesting to see how much that transfers. I've only dabbled with it on the iPad.
It's an awesome display.
Because now you can edit directly from an SSD as well with the new version for Final Cut for iPad. So I have tried that. I've put it onto a drive and taken it to the Mac. I know that was one of your big bugbears before, that you couldn't say start working here, take it home and do some touching up and some tidying up. I know there's no plugins, obviously, on the iPad still at the moment.
It's a non-starter for me because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you something that I found a use case for, but again, it's more time, but it's nice to do. So I did that on my SSD video, which is now it's one of those very
the
rare
original
videos.
one or the new one,
the follow-up.
Yeah,
it was actually before this iPad. I did it on the M2 iPad Pro, but it's the ability to create in Final Cut for the iPad, which you can't do on the Mac. It's one of those features that is only on the iPad, so you can have the pen and the pencil, I should say, and just do an animation. So you can write on top of the footage. So I export it from the Mac, bring it into the iPad, right on top, like a little animation, and then export that
back out,
and then that becomes part of the video. And it looks cool because it's your hand writing or design or drawing. Yeah. I mean, I'm not that good at it, but for people, artists and whatever, that's a nice workflow.
Because I haven't tried it yet. Supposedly now you can just long press on the video, can't you, on the iPad, and it lifts you from the background. That is one of the features
Yeah,
the
it
Final
doesn't
Cut Pro
always.
2
You
is
have
supposed
to
to
have
have.
a very contrasty background. Yeah,
So you really need to have something very plain so it can define you clearly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you've got different, I mean, even with different lights behind you,
Mm.
sometimes I find that it will pick the light with you rather than removing you completely. So motion VFX, not sponsored, but motion VFX does a much better job in that removal.
Isolating, yeah.
It's almost magic, really, what they do.
Which is a plugin you use of theirs for them?
It's called Roto AI. So it's basically rotoscoping.
Rotoscoping, yeah.
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 But it's insanely fast and accurate. I used in After Effects.
Oh, it must
back in
take
the day.
you a while.
Yeah, frame
Yeah.
by frame stuff, right? But you know, if After Effects didn't make it automated now, so you do the first and then you kind of guess what the movement is. Yeah, but the plugin, it's just like, oh my gosh, incredibly fast.
With the iPad, I found there's a couple of apps, and annoyingly, one of the apps I love to use all the time is the writing app, Ulysses. It's not as fluid because all the H2, H1 headings you've got to come off screen to find it in the menus. Yeah. It's a lot more clunky than I was hoping, and also Grammarly doesn't work particularly well with it either. You have to. It's a weird workaround.
And that's the problem with apps for the iPad, where they're very nice to use, but the minute you need to integrate with other things or whatever, it becomes a bit of a pain. I mean, even using Microsoft Teams this morning works fine, but oh boy, is it a nightmare to sign into things. And then obviously these days there's so much security around things, right? So you've got like codes being sent to another phone and you can't copy and paste between an Android and an iPad. So there's all these little things that
pinch points that are just slowing you down. And
on a day-to-day. So when people say I can work on the iPad, it's like, yeah, but it's not straightforward unless all you're doing is creative work.
Even YouTube Studio, I found it's got some weaknesses on the app for the iPad that I prefer.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, when you're going through replies and responses and so on, it's just, again, not as quick.
I tell you what I do love, because it's not as quick, but you can use emojis using the same shortcuts that you have on the Mac. So it's Command, Shift, space.
Control, Command, space. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Because, it's one of the things I respond to comments, and every comment has like either a fist pump or a heart or whatever. It's such a nightmare to do it. Like when you typing on the phone. Yeah. It's so nice to do in a full keyboard.
Oh, that's the thing now. Working, because like you, in the evenings, I do try to switch off a little bit, but there's always something you got on your mind. And just having that by the side of me, it's just been so comfortable to work on. Yeah. And the MacBook still feels like you're in the office, whereas the iPad feels like you're just that little bit more at home. Yeah. It's odd, I know.
Yes, I mean, I just love the display. I have, I wear contact lenses, but even though I've got that, I still need glasses for reading. I'm getting old, right? But
you're talking about getting old, mate.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I mean, I do get that with the S9 Ultra as well, but it's the one complaint I've got with the Tab S9 Ultra, even though it's the sharpest screen, is beautiful to watch content on. If I'm just on the couch, it's much nicer to have the Magic Keyboard with it. I don't know what it is, just easier. Even if you move about, it doesn't, it doesn't feel flimsy, right? It's something that's solid. And I saw someone complaining, it's a big channel as well, complaining about the weight of the Magic Keyboard. I was like,
how? Why?
Really? Yeah. Anyway, I'll tell you offline who it was, but it's like, some people just find...
You want to find something, don't you?
I'm the one who tried to find bad things about Apple, but this guy is like, it's an Apple channel, and he's complaining about the weight of the Magic Keyboard. It's like...
Really? For all the good that the function keys, everything about it, the balance of the keys, everything about it is good.
There's things that I wish we had, right? Which are rumored to have, like the pen...
charging...
The pencil.
Funny enough, when I was in London with Daniel and I was walking around with it, that's where I wish that the pencil was charging in the hinge, like I was saying.
I'm hoping mine is in the back, because it's one of those things. It just
Find My. It's on your Find My now. You'll be able to log in and find where it is, won't you?
Let me show you something.
Oh, nice.
How can they do that? It's magnetic. It's of course plugged in there, and you can do both ways.
So that's the...
I don't work for Samsung or anything, right? But
because that's got a slightly different aspect ratio to the iPad, right? The screen on
this, it's 21. I'll be guessing here, but see, straight away it's like,
it just hasn't got that same quality.
I don't like this.
Yeah.
But the good thing, they also have a cover that you put in to write, and it's magnetic. I wish Apple would do that, and it would probably kill Paperlike. But why can't someone come up with an accessory that magnetizes? I think there is one actually. There is one. I'm talking out of my ass.
Yeah, I've seen somebody. I mean, the nanotexture in its defense, I'd say it just wasn't for me. It just flattened everything off a little bit, and it was
I knew that would happen.
text. Funnily enough, text more than images. It was just furry. When you're used to a Retina display that I've been working on all the time anyway, and suddenly it was like jumping back in technology. Well, and I knew how good this display was going to be.
Honestly, I've been there, mate. I was one of the. It's not as bad. I don't think it's but it's comparable because I fell for the 16 gig iPad, M1 iPad Pro.
Yeah.
Like, well, it's coming, guys. Finally, we're gonna be able to run pro apps, and it was wasted. I mean, it was a few £100. I was like, I'll never see again.
Well, out of interest, I know I said I was thinking about downgrading this. I decided to stay with the terabyte and the 16.
Yeah,
Purely, I thought it was
say-
money spent, and depending what happens, it's phenomenally expensive anyway.
think I would, if I had to bet, I'd say I'm 90% confident that you're gonna, in a few months, go. I don't need a 1 terabyte.
It depends. Either I'm going to go balls in and use it really heavily, or it's just going to be a very expensive TV.
What can you possibly? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I've used Lightroom on it. I quite like Lightroom again because obviously your Samsung you've had the pen, whereas I've never used an Apple Pencil before. So that tactility it brings, I love that. The nano texture was great for that because it had that slight drag, that slight softness.
I've changed my mind and I'm glad I kind of held my judgment on that for a bit because until I went and saw it in person, my perception was that it was going to be just like putting a protector in it, but it's not. It's slightly different.
It is, yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people in denial though, because when I used it, I thought it was a lot smoother to write. It still felt like you're writing on glass. It didn't feel like you're writing on paper.
Well, I haven't used Paperlike, or I haven't used one other screen app.
I can show you here on my M2 iPad Pro. But the thing that did it for me, and if I was an artist, was the fact that your hand glides a bit better. It's not sticking with
not one of those silly glove things that a lot of the artists wear when they're drawing on it. Yeah,
that's the other thing, right? If that's all you want the nano texture for, it's for your hand, then just get an artist glove, right? Which is 15 quid.
Yeah.
So I think, I did want to kind of give it the benefit of the doubt, but when I saw it, I was like, okay, I can see why people might like it, so that you can, but it doesn't smudge as much, right? I don't think.
No, it doesn't. It is.
But the haptic feedback isn't there as much as I thought it would be. And the other use case, of course, is if you're outside a lot. And I can see, like, if you're in the field, how many
people are taking a £2,500 iPad and working out in daylight all the time?
They're picking up one of these things, right, which is like a
field monitor kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, but all that said, my first sort of delve into iPad has been really positive. This thing. I mean, even Stage Manager, I kind of quite like.
Did you go for the silver? What's the color code?
Yeah, I think it was a silver one because it's always in there. Yeah, silver. Yeah.
And the black, it's a nice combo.
I just thought the white one would get dirty too quickly. It would look.
Yeah, that's been my experience. I mean, you can see it here.
I mean, finger grease is going to happen, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the original M1 iPad Pro. The camera is not going to pick up. You can see it's not just the smudges. It's wherever it touches things.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Eventually, you can clean it, of course. But
no, that's why I decided to go for the black because I just thought it's going to last better and wear better. But so far, say Stage Manager, I'm using that more than Slide Over. I'm quite enjoying that.
Really, I don't know. I find that such a waste of space.
What, the Stage Manager?
Yeah, it just takes too much of the screen because it adds those things, right? I mean, you can remove it, but it reduces this. I mean, you're paying for a big display, but you kind of...
I tend to use it when I'm focused. Say, for instance, one that I use all the time, I have the email app open and YouTube Studio open, so I can just cross-reference between, right, he's written that, go and find that, reply, blah, blah. And so I have them as a stack together. And that, so I use it in specific times when I need to access a couple of apps together.
It's easy enough to turn it on and off,
exactly,
isn't it? I think for specific things like that, that makes sense. I do like using it. Like sometimes I do Ulysses, and then because of my ecosystem, Ulysses doesn't work on Android at all, or even on the web.
It's only Mac.
I wish it even had if there was a web version, so I could just get the text. But so to move stuff to my prompter, I have to put in Google Keep, or something else, or Evernote, whatever. So I just sometimes have those two, just to copy and paste between the things, and then it's in the cloud, and I can pick it up on another device.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the trade-offs of having a mixed ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, obviously, I'm all in on Apple because that side of it is easier for me. And the Files app now makes some sense because obviously I've kind of got used to the Files app being kind of the to find so if I've got an image I want to edit, I can put it in there, and I've kind
Does
of
it
got
show
to
you
working with it.
progress now? Because that's the one thing I hated. I mean, I haven't tried moving things around yet, but
What in the Files app?
Yeah, because he's always being like, you especially if it's like a 5 gig video,
Yeah.
right? You put it in the folder that you want, and then he's like, has
Oh,
he gone
yeah,
it? Is it finished? Can I?
I've only used the Files app natively on the iPad, so if I had something, if I airdrop myself, say a photo, an image over, then I can, because it was just little
AirDrop
workarounds.
tells you when it's done. Yeah.
Because I obviously, having never used an iPad as part of my ecosystem, there was a load of things I had to kind of just teach myself. Things that most people probably knew, but I was brand new to it.
Yeah.
So it's just been interesting understanding a new workflow.
There's so much you can. I mean, that you can run a podcast, right? You can plug that into a roadcaster or whatever, and just
But you can plug external cameras in as well, can't you?
Yeah.
So, early on, I've got nothing but good to say about it. I'm really enjoying it. So, I guess now we can sort of gradually transition our way kind of to the YouTube side. And I thought a good way to do that would be your Samsung event, because we can talk about the business side of how you got there, but equally the event itself. Now, you began talking about it earlier on, said it was just like almost a mini CES. So
I did feel like a kid in a candy shop, as they say. It was awesome. Yeah.
So various creators were invited by Samsung?
Yeah, lots of people there. One of the creators there, I only found out because, we were under NDA, so you can't really talk about it a lot. I think even when we were talking, I knew I was going, but I couldn't really say anything. But yeah, Pete Matheson was there, which is nice.
Yeah.
It was nice when you go in there and you meet
recognize somebody.
And it was the first, I just realized, even though we talk almost on a daily basis in our group chats, it was the first time I actually saw him in person. So it was great. And it happened after a lot of trying, and that's been the case with this channel. Right, nothing came easy with this channel, and you're in the same situation.
Yeah,
So,
we were having a talk beforehand.
So tricky to get things to happen, and when for me it was a big win. I mean, a lot of people there have been to several before. There were some streamers in there. They were releasing a new. Well, it was a gaming. It was mainly the gaming monitors, but they were also releasing 2 other ranges in there.
You got the monitors?
No. I've asked, but I've also ordered one just in case. I think he's pre-ordered now for July. But yeah, if I can get one earlier, then brilliant.
What was it, an evening event or?
No, it was a day. It was like a half a day thing. You get there in the morning, then they do a presentation. It was almost like a keynote thing, and then you get shown it and you get to use it.
You get some hands-on time.
Yeah, and I thought about not taking the camera, and then I realized, no, it'd be good to always record content, because.
And they were fine with that. You're allowed to record while
I did ask beforehand.
Of course,
they were okay. So I then went to town and they said, yeah, you can definitely record it. They didn't ask for a video, but I did a video and it did really well. I mean, still picking up views now. But it's one of the things that I guessed it would have been okay. And lo and behold, Peter was also there with his cameraman. I'm not at that level that I can hire a cameraman, but yeah, he had someone there recording stuff.
Right, yeah.
And it makes a lot of sense because you can then do reels, you can do whatever. When there's something that new, and I just imagine, right, if this was an Apple event, for example, yeah, you take a camera, wouldn't you, and you vlog it. So I did a lot of vlogging outside before going in. It was awesome. It was like I said, it was an awesome experience. I took like two trains earlier than I should have got just in case.
Make sure you're there, yeah.
Because the week before I was at similar place, but
you sent me
for clicks.
Yeah.
With
all the train delays.
And I got to meet Michael Fisher.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic. Again, it was an awesome experience. It was such a nice. Everything that you think is going to be like, he's that guy. He's that nice chap. He kind of got talking to lots of people over there. The tech chap was there as well, which is cool. I didn't get to talk to him, but kind of saw him there.
So now you've opened up the door with that side of Samsung, that team of Samsung. Do you think there's going to be future opportunities? Because you've had a phone they've sent you through to review, haven't you?
Yeah, there's no guarantees. The phone was before, and it's so weird how sometimes you're talking to a brand, but you're actually talking to their reps through an agency. So early on, I got monitors sent, and that was through an intro from Pete, actually. Got monitors sent to me, and then they changed, right? They changed jobs, people changed jobs, and you never hear from them again. It was like the video did well, we did some conversions, should we do another one? There's a new one coming out, and then you never hear from them. So yeah, it's challenging. And then with the phones, and this is where it helped having a manager, because I just said to her, like, that's your task for the next couple of days. Just
focus on them.
Just, here's what you pitched. This is how we show them that there's value in doing it. And then she, and I just relaxed, and she did all the work, and we got the invites eventually to this event.
And this came through an agency, then your invite to?
Yeah.
Right, yeah. And it took a few months in the building to get there, did
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
But, it's one of those, like, when there's no guarantees that I'll be invited to another one, but I think it's, the opportunities, I made sure that I grabbed the opportunity and did everything that I could, even though I'm juggling all sorts of things. And I was like, I'll put a video out. And it was an honest review as well. There's things that it's not perfect, but it was, everything. Because sometimes, and I can now kind of guess why embargo videos are always so positive, right? Because you probably don't want to mess up that relationship.
Absolutely, yeah.
Luckily, there was not much bad to say about it, but I can see how it would be difficult for someone to.
I think we talked about that on a podcast a few episodes back, actually, about whether you would be honest if you managed to get onto an embargo list. It's got to be hard. I mean, we all want to think we've got that integrity, but if you're getting into bed with a big brand like Apple, like Samsung, like Google,
I'd find it really difficult. Yeah, I find it
I'm
difficult.
glad you're being honest.
I'd still do it, but it would be at the risk of losing that relationship. And I'm hoping that, my views are balanced enough that they'll not see it as unfair, but maybe as feedback. And I always do that anyway, right? If I've got that door, usually it's been with small brands, but I will always say, look, before I release this video, are you doing something about this? Because I found this problem, and I would do the same, if I found an issue with something.
Something, again, we were just chatting before we started recording, and it was an interesting notion that, well, you've already taken, and I kind of made that decision. I'm beginning to find that some sponsors and brands are beginning to reach out as my sub count increases. It's slow and it's small, but equally I've taken the stance that you were saying, very much so. It's almost better not to associate yourself with a brand that nobody's heard of for a very small sum of money.
Yeah. If you can,
and you've now held out now, and you said you're happy to associate. Why can't I say the word associate? You're happy to associate yourself with big brands for not necessarily even any return. Yeah, and you've mentioned a couple of things you've done.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting on this Herman Miller chair, which was, they're not offering to pay for the video. It's a dedicated video as well, which usually at the channel the size it is now, you can charge quite a lot of money for it. But because of that brand and because of you kind of, in my case, hoping that, you do a good job and they'll come back.
Yep.
And then you build that relationship. People see you associating with that brand. It kind of, whether we like it or not, whether it's right or not, the quality of the content doesn't change, right? Of course, it improves a little bit. But, if I'm doing like a 30 quid charger that no one's ever heard of, that you can buy, on Amazon or AliExpress or whatever, doesn't carry the same seriousness, right? Whether we like it or not, it's
absolutely. And, I've been so long in trying to get to the point of making money, and right now I'd rather back away from taking a very small amount of money and making the channel look less premium than just sit back and think, look, just keep learning your craft. You're doing
good content, right? And I think that's the main thing sometimes. I mean, this weekend I've got a video, hopefully if I can edit it and upload it, that is not about tech product at all. It's just, on the main channel. It's one of those that I do every 3-4 months on the main channel. It's just me talking about my views on something. And in this case, AI. So I think there's a lot of talk about AI. And so I thought, well, I'll talk about that. Just my views on it. And there's no sponsor. And I don't want it to have a sponsor. It's one of those, sometimes you have to do that. And, because I'm thinking brands also want to see that side of you as well. Are you just selling stuff?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, just taking the money.
Of course, it's important to make money, but I'm always so cautious about that because people will see you. I mean, if I'm watching a channel and all I see is adverts, where's the content, right?
Yeah.
Where is the value? What am I watching here?
Yeah.
Unless you just want to watch what we had in the 80s, right? It's like a whole channel on the TV for sales.
Yeah.
Right? And you watch that for hours.
Yeah,
I wouldn't, but people watch that because they want to buy whatever.
Yeah, but you and I both know that the minute you put a sponsors section into a video, the viewers drip. It's going to, and you need those sponsors to come on board to make the business side of it work clearly, but it's a balance. And you've always said that you've backed off from doing too many in a year because you don't want your...
Last year I was made that decision, I remember saying that, and I think I did that, maybe 2 dedicated videos last year. Don't get me wrong, if the opportunities came up and they were right, and they, because obviously you spend a lot of money looking around here, all this stuff is stuff that we bought ourselves, and it's, sometimes funded by my other business. So it's kind of like, yeah, I don't feel bad for making money because you've got to fund the channel, pay the rent for the studio.
Exactly that. I mean, I've given myself for my other business, I've given this side a loan, basically. And it can't be open-ended. There will come a point if I don't start to make money, I have to think about it can't carry on because it's too expensive to buy. So I'm very much conscious of that. I don't want it to be a vanity project. I love doing it. I'm loving learning. All the experiences, meeting you, meeting Daniel, the other guys that you come across, all of it. Nothing but positive to say. But at the end of the day, I need to pay some bills and I need to live.
Exactly.
So that's why it's got to be the next. And I know, you're 100, I'm coming up to 10. Massive difference. So sure, our rates will be different.
A few months ago, you were like struggling to get to 2, remember?
Oh, yeah. I did 1,000 subs last month.
Yeah.
Which
you found what works for you, and that's the thing, and that's what brands will see. Yeah, that they'll see that you've got an engaged audience. You're not cheating the system.
No.
A lot of people are doing.
No, I'm doing it the hard way.
And I think the results will come. And I think you're right. You're just finding some good partnerships. Because a mistake I made was kind of say yes to a lot of things because they were paying, not necessarily thinking, how about do a package deal instead of just a single.
Yeah, that's a good shout. We were talking about the idea of selling a packs and putting together almost a marketing plan for them.
You're solving your problem because you're creating less, like you're creating a lot of the content once, and then you maybe just finessing it every time there's another one. But you're making the brand's job easier as well. So a shout out to Justin Moore. I only follow him on Twitter. I think he's got like a full course on this stuff, and but he talks a lot on Twitter about, and his channel, about brand deals. That's his thing, and I definitely recommend if you're struggling with finding, go find. We'll put a link to this thing. Justin Moore is brilliant. The stuff that he talks about, even without charging you, it's like it's gold. It really is good.
So I mean, like myself, you started out in your spare room, blah blah blah, and at that stage, I guess you didn't know any other creators. So how did you teach yourself the business side of it? As you began, because we were talking, you said you moved into this studio when you're about 20,000 subs, which feels like it's almost within sniffing distance of kind of 10 to 20. Yeah, it's a leap, but it's seeable. So how did you begin to teach yourself brand deals and reach? Did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you?
I think it comes from just running your own business outside,
which I've been
YouTube.
used to doing anyway. Yeah,
I think a lot of it was, can this be more than just a hobby? Because it did start off about I made a video about my shoes, my running shoes, which did really well, much better than videos even recent videos. So I think it was very early. It was very early. I was like, before I even started the channel, I signed up to all the Amazon affiliates, because if I mention a product, there's an opportunity here. So maybe to my detriment, kind of, because I could have started way earlier, but I spent months getting the right gear. Like I needed a proper camera, I needed a proper microphone.
Did you start off with a proper camera? Video one?
Yeah, that was the camera you got.
Oh, the Canon.
First video was with that camera.
Love that Canon. Love it.
At the time, it was a big expense. It was like 1,500 quid. Like when you've got nothing, when you've got 0 subscribers, it's a lot of money to run. But I said, okay, I need that. Then very quickly realized that I need lights. The first few videos didn't have any lights. It was like just use Windows.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I got like some cheap, like newer, those flat panels. They did the job for a bit, but some days, the Canon, right? If you don't have really good lighting, you can struggle. Yeah. So
I'm loving that camera. I still remember the day I saw it on that bench over in the corner. Yeah, it's doing me so well. I mean, in time, again, it's professional enough for now, but in time, I'll be looking to change on and either Canon R series or Sony, one of the two.
Yeah. And the other thing I did was just, and I still do it today, which is like, if I can't get the product sent to me, I will sulk for a little bit. But sometimes, I want to prove to the brands as well that I can do it and I can do a good job.
And something you were just mentioning, just finishing up on the YouTube side of things, if there's any creators watching, check your studio app, because there's a new earnings tab now, which is much better refined in seeing. I've always struggled to know how much. I know AdSense is only the cherry on the cake, but it's kind of nice to know you've got something coming. Yeah. And it's a much better way of seeing what you're earning now. So go check out your studio app. There's a new earn tab on there that's really good. But you're shooting this in 60, but you're shooting in 60 now.
Yeah,
So
for the last
24 and 30 I'd heard of, and I was like, 60? Why?
last 3-4 months maybe. Yeah,
Are the files huge?
they are. It's like a lot bigger than before. And I stopped using multicam because of that. It's just too much on the edit. So I made the edit just a single cam, but higher quality.
Yeah.
And it's not because I prefer it, but because in tech there's something that people like to see. Either I say go to 30 minimum or 60, and people seem to enjoy that. But I haven't asked. The minute I did it, I didn't say anything. I didn't mention anything. It looks odd to me because I preferred 24 FPS. But people like it because I got comments on the first time I did it. Like, oh, finally you're on 60 FPS.
So just get the workflow right then. So obviously, cameras you shoot at 60. Then in Final Cut, your timeline's in 60.
Timeline is 60, yeah.
When you're exporting out of Final Cut?
60.
In 60.
Yeah. And YouTube will give you the option as well.
Oh, so YouTube will see that you
4K
uploaded in 4K 60.
Which never happened before. Yeah, before it was up to 30 because I was exporting either in 24 or 30.
Yeah.
My B-rolls have always been filmed in 60 because you do get crisper and you can slow it down, or a lot of times 120. But because the A-roll is 24, they don't match.
There's
so
a crash,
your footage will go 24, which means you're dropping some quality, and it's tiny. If you go back to my videos, you have to really squint to see it, but people notice it. But even the way you move, stuff. You do get a little bit of the motion blur, and it's still there, but it's not as natural to me anyway as 24.
See, now you got me thinking, should I try it?
I try it with a video and see how it looks.
Yeah.
I think Marquez, his videos are maybe 30.
Yeah, he's big. Cause
he probably shoots higher, but uploads in 30. I don't know.
Yeah, he's always been big about 30. That's his thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
He always wears his T-shirts 30 FP, and so I know because he shoots on red cameras, I think, and shoots in 8K, doesn't he? I think.
Yeah, imagine 8K 30. Yeah, imagine. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about keeping everything in the same. It's maths, right? Because if you do 24 and mix it with 60, which is what I've been doing forever.
Yeah.
You are either getting the software to add frames.
Yeah.
Or Final Cut in this case to remove frames so everything matches. So yeah, you're probably losing some quality in there. But yeah, it looks sharp. I mean, my B-roll looks how it's supposed to look when I was filming from the beginning, like even from when I had the Canon.
Yeah.
But my A-roll now looks odd to me because it's just.
You got me interest peak now. I think I've got to consider doing, because next week's video for me is going to be a talk about WWDC. So in actual fact, that'd be quite an easy one to try it on because there'd be no B-roll shots. It'd just be talking head.
And I think a lot of people filming on smartphones are probably getting really good video quality out because if you can record the whole, like we just did with that phone, the whole thing in 4K 60.
No, See, coming here today has been good. Now I've got to train for workflow again. I'm thinking, but it's all about, as you say, the quality. If people are not, and you said people
knows,
noticed.
right? I mean, I haven't seen any change in the algorithm or my videos overperforming. But I don't know. There's sometimes people saying that, oh gosh, look at the 4K 60, and I don't usually get unless it's a music video. There's definitely that's the comment I got. It's like, oh, usually I only get 4K 60 in like high end productions.
I'll have a look, because obviously I mean, Final Cut I've actually taken to a lot easier than I thought I would do, and I think part of it's actually a very intuitive bit of kit to use, isn't it, Final Cut?
Yeah.
So I'm sure exporting at 4K 60 is not going to be an issue when I come to that final end screen of the export.
It's a little bit longer. It takes longer because obviously the file, my exports for a 10-minute video is like 4 gig.
Right. Yeah, so it's definitely anything that just, you're always looking for that edge, aren't you, just to improve quality somehow, and anything that makes your video look better than somebody. And I know both you and I take a lot of pride in our B-roll. We spend a lot of time on B-roll shots. And
one of the things that I've been wanting to do forever is to have proper top-down shots. Now, I do have a nice camera, which is this one here, the Sony ZV-1.
That's the kind of vlogger's camera, isn't it?
E10, which is, I mean, it's a great little camera, but it's just not good enough. It's not sharp enough for that sort of stuff. So just recently, I mean, it's been in my basket since it was launched, which I'm not a Sony camera. I mean, these things are not cheap, right? But I'm really looking forward to having that because, the other thing I've been wanting to do is have more BTS, but not just with the smartphone, but, good quality ones. So yeah, looking forward to. I mean, it's all these little.
There's always
something.
something.
So we talk about sponsorships, right? But there's a lot that goes back into the channel.
Oh damn! It's such a 24/7 job, this, because you're always thinking about it. Always thinking of another angle, something to improve your quality, what you can do better, how you can package it better, the kit you need to make it look better.
Yeah, it's not needed to start, but once you've grown and you see some investment coming in, it would be silly not to continue to try and reach higher levels of quality. Right?
Exactly that. Yeah. Well, it's been great being back here. When I saw Daniel here last time, I felt there was a little bit of a lump in my throat. I thought the Aussie bastard's got my spot on the sofa, but it feels really good. It's a nice drive here. It's a summer's night. It's lovely to be back here and doing it in person occasionally. It does make a difference.
The next time, hopefully, we'll have a room for podcasts. I mean, at the moment, we're just kind of makeshifting things.
No, it looks good, though. It looks good.
Yeah.
So we'll be back together in a couple of weeks' time, of course. Then we can see what did come out at WWDC. And your next video you're hoping to get up is it a sofa one of you talking? Generally, when you do your talking ones,
it's just at a desk, recorded over there.
Because I've enjoyed when you've done your sort of like sitting down on the sofa on a Saturday night one.
I think this one will have multiple scenes. Yeah, it would be me walking in the park and whatever. But yeah, most of it was.
So that video should go up this weekend.
This weekend, if I can edit, I'm really. I mean, this week has been grueling, but hopefully this weekend.
And I'm going to talk about WWDC next week on my next video for sure. But I don't want to do one of those rush ones. I've learned my mistakes there. It looks amateurish. You make mistakes. I'm going to sit back and actually just take in everything that was said, make a load of notes.
Yeah.
And
you've got your audience will appreciate that as well.
I think so. Yeah. And I sort of said to them at the end of this week's video, look, you guys deserve that from me. I don't want to rush something out to try and hit the curve. I'd rather you have something that's more balanced.
I think when there's a new iPhone, a new iPad, a new Samsung, whatever, I think it's sometimes worth to get the eyeballs on your channel, just and your quick opinions on something. But when it comes to a detailed video, you don't want to rush it.
Yeah, exactly that.
And WWDC, I mean, whether we like it or not, is one of those things that so many people will be doing a video for our channel. Is probably one of those.
Now, I'll be interested to see how it performs, actually. But, things are slightly different now. I've got people that I think are looking forward to my videos coming out. So it just feels like things are changing a little bit for me.
Yeah,
so.
I noticed your thumbnails. Like, you got a style.
I've got a style. That's the main thing, yeah.
I wish I had one.
One font and then very much a bleach white background, all sorted out in Lightroom. I have got a good backdrop, but it's...
Have you seen CTR increasing?
Yeah.
Because of it?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And retention's been good as well. Since I've adopted slightly how I edit. And I know what I've done. I have made a conscious decision how I'm editing. There's been a change. Where I used to try to just have one long conversation, I've now realised people aren't into that for 15 minutes. It just needs a little bit more jumps in it and stuff. So I've made some conscious decisions to change the edit style through watching other creators as well. I think, I like that.
Yeah.
And so I've seen better CTR in the first sort of 24, 48 hours.
Nice.
And also then retention's been a bit better as well. So, and to say 1,000 subs in a month, and
that's incredible. It's brilliant.
It's felt a decent month. So let's end it on a positive note, eh?
Yes.
I don't want to drop my constant positive note.
Yes.
Let's end it. So we'll be back together again in a couple of weeks. There's my camera.
Don't forget to subscribe.
Like. Thank you. We did earn more subscribes.
150 something now. We're absolutely flying.
And it's given us new energy as well. So make sure if you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts, give us a good review there. Subscribing. We'll put plenty of call to action and subscription banners through this video because we need to get this podcast going. And
I don't know.
We will.
We'll be some.
They drop on. And Daniel, I think, will be on the next one. I think that's the plan because he should be just back. If he's not on the next one, definitely one after that because he's on holiday for months. So he's in Lisbon at the moment, Portugal. I don't know.
No, he was in Italy last time.
I need to get his clothes.
Yes,
I need to get his bag. Part of the reason I'm here. I'm acting as Daniel's bag man. Anyway, we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. Enjoy WWDC, and we'll be back with you in a couple of weeks' time.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, bye.